Hello and welcome to the RunIowa podcast. I'm Rob Lindquist.
And I'm Dave Kading.
Sorry, Dave, I caught you there. This is episode 105 of the RunIowa podcast. In this episode, we're going to talk a little bit about getting back into shape, both running and fitness-wise. Our guest today is Elyzabeth Jacobs. She's a local runner who's going to talk a little bit about weight training with running. So we'll do that and have our show and have a great show, I think. Maybe.
Awesome.
How's your brisket?
Very good.
Good. All right. This is episode 105 of the RunIowa podcast. All right, Dave, how you doing?
I'm doing well.
Awesome. Myself as well. I think I just posted recently on our RunIowa account that my kid is 6 months old, so I no longer have any excuses to not run.
This is true.
Do you want to go run tonight?
I'm moving.
I'm busy. No, but I this is just kind of funny, or maybe not funny, but we've all been there where we took a little break, whether it's due to injury or life or whatever, and we've talked about this before. And mine was, my kid. I didn't get to run as much as I wanted to, and that's fine. I love my kid, so we'll go with that. But I did go for a run on Sunday, this past Sunday.
Right.
And I did a 5K around my neighborhood. It's a hilly neighborhood. It was nice, 55 degrees, perfect temperature for getting out there running. I told my wife, I said, I know I need to be back in a half an hour, so I'm just going to do like 2 miles. And I got out there and I got running, and that first mile killed me. Just torture. Because my lungs and my legs just weren't ready.
Right.
And so then I said, screw this. I need to buck through this thing. And so I was hitting all my hills and doing what I was supposed to do. And I got plowing, and I'm like, oh, I'm at just over 2 miles. And I looked at my watch. I'm like, I got 10 minutes. I can do another mile. Let's do this,
Yep.
So I made sure that part of my run was downhill as well. So I'm like, oh, I planned that perfectly. So I got to run a big downhill. It was about a half-mile downhill slope. And got to the end of the downhill. I'm at 2.5 miles. I'm like, yes. Turned around to come back up to my house. I'm like, oh yeah, I suck at this. Like that moment was like, oh my gosh. But I did manage to get a full 5K in.
Good for you.
Managed to do it about a 9:30 pace, which is about what I was leaving off on last time I ran. So
good for you.
Considering I haven't ran in about 6 months. I think I ran once or twice, or it was more than that. It was a handful of times. Not nearly as much as I wanted to.
Right.
I was doing some training. I was doing some of the body weight stuff and doing the Murph and that kind of stuff just to kind of stay in shape. But here, as of late, because of golf, I wasn't even doing that stuff. So it was a solid month and a half of nothing before going and doing this run. And so, man, I feel it today, though. Today's Tuesday. Today's Tuesday. And my legs feel like I ran a marathon. And, we had some friends. I had some friends in Kansas City this past weekend, ran that. And I'm like, I feel you. Maybe not all 26 miles, but I know what it's like. What I wanted to do is discuss that a little bit. Mm-hmm. Getting back into running and getting back into the groove. Do you have any tips or ideas for what people could do to get back out there other than, well, I guess the main thing is just to do it, get back out there.
Right.
But what sorts of things can people do to get back in the routine after a layoff?
Yeah, we've talked about this several times because you're always on a layoff.
I know, what? I don't know what you're talking about.
Whether it's, all right, go sign up for something, pick a race because that holds you accountable.
Sure,
join
yeah.
a group, all those kind of things. As you start hearing more and more in the business world and in school, what's your why?
Sure.
And I think that's probably it. And it relates, why am I going out there and running in the first place?
Mm-hmm.
And you need to have a why. Otherwise, you won't stay with anything.
Sure.
Why am I going out there every day? And so I think that's a, reflective. Go back and look at, well, why am I running? What do I want to get? What's my?
Do you
why?
want to get fit? Do you want to overcome something?
Everything's different. Am I running to lose weight? Is going to be a different program for somebody that's running to run a half or a full marathon, because
a bucket list thing.
Yeah, those of us who've done those know that when you start training for anything over a half, you're no longer in weight loss mode.
No,
because your caloric intake increases so much. 90% of us that run marathons will put on weight that back half of our training and have to pay attention to it because you're hungry all the time.
Yeah.
And you want to sit there and pig out after you've gone on an 18-mile run.
Was it Brad or Rob? Maybe it was Brad Danes, who's a Central guy. He just recently did a blog post about this. Go check it out. The Running Messenger on Twitter. You could see his blog post. But he talked about that. He said the one thing he did a lot of was he ran a lot, but he wasn't necessarily eating well when he was running a lot, and so the calories he was putting in, he became mindful of it. Let me rephrase. It wasn't that he was doing anything terribly wrong, but he became mindful of putting better things into his body because of the want to eat the 10 tacos and that sort of thing, which I am 100% guilty of. After even mediocre, and I say mediocre because I've done longer distances, but a 5K, I ate. Right. And then I immediately, like, I'm back to, I remember last time we talked about my marathon training, I gave myself a treat. It was a caffeine-free orange soda. That was my treat. You know, if I get to run, I'll do my, kind of watch what I'm eating, really. My wife does a good job of that anyway. We've talked about that. But I'll give myself a soda. And I really hadn't drank a lot of soda other than orange pop when training. And now I'm back to Diet Cokes, and it's like, oh, shit, you know, I got to get myself in and be cognizant of what you're putting into your body, too, when you're running and restarting running especially.
Yep. So, again, I think, you know, figuring out what your why is and what your goal is and set those. And those are all things that I'm not good at.
Sure.
But as I've finished up, training for the last marathon, and then being off, so it's been a little over 2 weeks that I haven't run.
Oh, right, yeah.
And just because life has been in the way, and now I'm getting all this stuff done that I was putting off on weekends.
Yeah.
But as I look to, all right, what am I going to do? I'm like, oh, whoa, I enjoy running, so that's not an issue. But enjoying running for me is not enough to say I'm going to be out running every day. So I'll have these periods where
or at least
won't run
2 or 3 times a week.
Yeah. So I'll have these periods where, okay, life gets in the way, so I'm not going to run. And is that a bad thing? Because I don't really have a why. Yeah. But we've talked to some of our running friends about running a half or a full this spring, and it's one of those. All right, is that something I'm willing to commit to? And if I do, here's what I need to do for me, because it's at a bad time, spring. And I have tennis.
Right, your sport is in the spring,
and so it's kind of what are we gonna plan out?
A couple of my friends did Kansas City as a bucket list thing. They just wanted to get a marathon in. They have no intention of ever doing a marathon again. And I think that part of what our discussion is right now with getting back into running kind of thing is the same for people that just finished. And what I'm hearing is they don't want to put in that time commitment. Right. They're like, man, I'm so done with long runs on the weekends, especially if you're doing a marathon. And we've talked about, if you go back and listen to it's maybe not be as difficult for those people that are running 3-hour marathons as opposed to those of us running 5-hour marathons where we're putting in way more time because we're slower, just naturally slower.
Right, absolutely.
And so getting that mindset of, okay, why am I doing this? Is it for another distance? And then convincing yourself and really getting out there and saying, okay, I need to commit these morning runs, especially weekends or whatever, to commit and say, okay, this is part of my plan. Here's why I'm doing it. If you're somebody that's currently running whatever distance you want to say, 5K, half marathon, each weekend, just because that's kind of in the boat you're in and you're just doing that consistently, then you already have that time blocked out. Right.
Yeah,
and so, and I think people need to get there if they're serious about getting better at running or just doing it is, you know, our friend Mary, she's trying to do a half marathon in every state. Yep. She could pretty much go any weekend right now and just run a half marathon because her body's in that mode of, I can just do that.
I can do it. And it's one of those, so if you're trying to get back and whether it's like me, you finished running a marathon, it's done, you're relieved, I don't have that time commitment anymore. Now I need to just pick back up casual running. Or because life was in the way, whether it's because of an injury or something, and you took a long block of time off. Right. How do you get going? I don't think there is a magic bullet or anything.
Sure, yeah.
But I think if you know why am I going to run? Why do I want to get back into running? What's my motivation? Yeah. Is important. I had a conversation just talking about training, and and runs, and like, I don't think I would ever want to run a full because of the time commitment. And I was having a conversation with somebody else about how much time it takes, and like, well, it's really not that. You run for 3 hours on a Saturday morning.
Yeah.
You get up and do it. You're done at 10 o'clock, let's say.
Still get your football if you're
and you
that,
still go and do all that stuff. And the part that they don't, because they're not runners, I was having a conversation with is, I run 18 miles. I'm pretty much done for the day.
Sure, yeah.
Doing anything that's going to require a lot of time on my feet.
Right. And I remember that after my first Lincoln half. That was, I was like, oh, yeah, I'm done. Let's go. And then I slept the rest of the day.
Right. So that's the part that I think people don't realize.
Yeah. Cool. Good conversation. Let's pick this up later.
Yeah.
And keep things rolling on that. I like the idea.
Know your why.
Know your why. Chapter in our book.
There you go.
Hey, look at that. We're writing this book as we're talking.
Yes, we are.
With that being said, our guest today is Elyzabeth Jacobs. She's a local runner from the west side of the state here from Underwood, Iowa. And she's going to talk a little bit about just her background in running and what she's doing in running and training. She's starting some weight training instead of just running. And so she added that to her repertoire. We're going to talk to her about that and a lot of other things as well, mainly because I'm awkward and you're here. So that's about it. Stick with us. This is episode 105 on the RunIowa podcast. Hello and welcome back to the RunIowa podcast. With us now is Elyzabeth Jacobs. She's a local runner in our area. That's a great title, local runner.
In our area. That's
in our
redundant.
area. It is redundant.
Versus the local runner that doesn't live in our area.
It's true. I'm an English teacher.
Yeah.
Anyway, hi, Elyzabeth. How are you?
Hello, I'm good.
You're in our new studio. So
Yes.
we'll take a picture of this, and
Okay,
I know
you can
people
take a picture of this.
people are super interested about that. Elyzabeth, thanks for joining us. Let's talk a little bit, get started about your running history, what you've done in the past as far as maybe some races or events that you might have done, and where you hope to go in the near future with your running.
Well, I started running about 7 years ago.
Okay.
And mainly to lose weight, but
Sure.
I was following a program,
Cool.
a half program, and
Right.
one of my friends just like, why don't you run this half? And so
So you got thrown into it with a friend?
basically, yes.
My wife did that to me.
Right.
She's like,
so
just
what
go.
was the half that you started off with?
Des Moines.
Des Moines half.
Yeah, it was good.
And you're from the west side here with us.
Mm-hmm.
You're over on, well, I'm not going to tell everybody where you live. That'd be weird.
Yeah.
But so what kind of events around here did you do after that event, or what kind of training have you done in the area?
Well, I ran the Council Bluffs when Ameristar or
Right.
So the
casinos
Gambler?
did it.
The Gambler.
Yep.
Thank you. I did that a couple years, and then last year or this May I did the Lust Fest.
Oh yeah, yep.
Run less.
Run less half.
There you go.
That's
Thank
right.
you.
I did that 2 years ago. I don't
We
remember.
did.
I would
2
have done
years
it
ago.
2 years ago, but I got mono. the
Oh.
week before, so I couldn't.
Can we talk about that? I know we have zero script, but I want to ask. We had a friend recently that also trained for a half or a full. I don't remember the actual distance. What do you go through your mindset when you train that hard and then you can't run a race? And maybe this is like prying psychology.
I was very upset. I ran the Lincoln right before that. There was
Right.
3 or 2
Yep.
weeks difference, and I was really excited because I also trained. It was a month different or something, but I trained with 2 friends who've never done halves before, and I was excited to run with them. Plus, my husband, it was his first halves, and so when they told me, I was like, well, what if I'm good in a week? And they're like, no, nothing for 2 weeks, like at all. So there was crying involved.
I bet.
I was mad anytime someone talked about it. I just got angry, but I'm over it now.
Yeah.
2 years ago,
Yeah. So I did it last year.
Okay.
This past spring.
What
Yeah.
did that mean
This-
for your training? Did you, as soon as you could, go back and try to run something else, or did you just kind of?
No, I took off. I mean, I took that time off because I didn't want to get mono again.
Sure.
I was, but I think what was after that? The market to market was.
It was this fall, so you
Oh
didn't.
yeah, that was in the spring. I don't know where I'm at in my months. I need a calendar. I didn't do anything. I don't think I did. Nope. I did a half in Idaho.
Okay.
That's what it was, because I started training for my marathon.
Okay.
So I took a month off just to make sure I was good. And then I started training for my marathon, which was in December, and I ran a half in August.
Where was your December marathon?
Des Moines.
Oh, Des Moines. Did I miss that part?
Nope.
I'm sorry.
Nope.
Okay.
Nope, I just thought it would be fun to do my first marathon where I did my first half.
Yeah, absolutely. And how was it? Your
Sucked.
marathon? Yeah?
Not the marathon itself.
Okay.
But they switched the route
Oh, no.
that year. My sister did it the year before, and that's when I was like, you know what, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And they switched the route, and they made it so you went by the Capitol, which was awesome, but it was like at the end. So mile 23 was like a hill for
Little
the entire
hilly.
time.
Yeah.
So
That stinks.
I'll do it again someday.
That same one or a different one?
No, a different one.
Cause so we've talked about that in the past. If you're like me, I would consider myself a very sporadic marathon runner. I might do another one. I haven't decided yet, or go longer. But if you've done one, do you do the same one again?
And see if it gets better.
And see if it gets better.
It depends on the one, I would think.
Yeah, I didn't have that great of experience in this
Sure.
one, and maybe just try the Omaha one.
Sure. My wife told me I should do Lincoln, the full. And I've done the half twice, I think. And I've heard, stories, and all of our buddies have run Lincoln a million times. You did Lincoln, didn't you?
I didn't
You
do the
didn't
full.
Lincoln.
I've done
You've
the
done
half
the half.
3 times.
But my wife said I should do Lincoln because it's so flat. And
I
that
would
kind of
never
stuff.
do the Lincoln. Sorry, Lincoln.
And why not?
The Lincoln full.
Yeah, the full, because the second half, I don't care for the Lincoln half, is not my favorite.
Yeah.
You run all the way out to the lake and then back, and there's nothing up there. And when you're running back, if there's a northwest wind or anything, it's in your face. And the friends of mine that have run it all say that the second half is terrible.
Sure.
And it doesn't look fun. And I've had several friends that would be their first, or they've run it once or twice, and none of them have anything good to say about the second leg of that.
Sure.
So
there's a new
I don't
full
want to run it.
that I just heard about, and a little plug for them because they're brand new. But the Krandic marathon over in Cedar Rapids. It's from Cedar Rapids to Iowa City. It's in the spring. I believe it's the week after, or it's close to Lincoln. It's the week after Drake for sure. The Drake road races. So people can check that out if they want something new, because it's a brand new race.
Right, and it's a point-to-point.
It's a point-to-point race, so you're not going to get stuck like
Right.
like.
And I think those are more enjoyable because I've done point-to-point and I've done loops and I've done out and backs, and I would take a point-to-point half or full anytime because it's always new, and you don't get caught in that mental part like, oh man,
here I go with this.
I got to go around this, or I have to see this again, or I know right where I am.
Sure.
So if you're struggling, then it stinks.
Elizabeth, what's your favorite distance to run?
Just running. I like to do 6.
Yeah.
Between 4 and 6.
Just to get out there and get a good sweat, good workout. Okay.
Yeah.
Have you done any of the distances at that race? Or I said that
Races
wrong. Races
at
at
that
that distance?
4 to 6?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, it's
'Cause it's-
usually just stick to the 5.
5, 10K. So
Yeah.
we've talked in the
Right.
past about weird distance races and stuff like that, and how they'd be
there's
unique.
That one that's like 4-ish.
Yep.
The beer and bagel.
Beer and
Yep.
bagels
And
about
then
4.5.
half-ish.
Yep.
Yep.
Every year I say I'm going to do that, but
There's a couple
never do
7Ks around I've heard about. There's one in Des Moines, I believe, and I think there's one in Omaha
Right.
too. At least for us West Enders, all you Eastern Enders over there in Davenport and
Have
Dubuque,
tons of
you have
stuff.
tons of races over there.
So are you training for anything right now?
no, not right now.
But you are, and we talked about this. This is
Oh,
why I
yeah,
wanted
that's
you
right.
on. You're doing some strength training, correct?
Yes.
And so Dave and I know this is going to surprise some people. We're not females, and so we're not really good at strength training for females.
Right.
So the reason I asked you on today is to talk a little bit about your training and what you're doing specifically to kind of build the muscle and that sort of thing, and get yourself ready for when you do maybe start another race. How does that tie right in?
Well, I used to just run,
Mhm.
and that was good. That was
Me too.
great. But it was when I started weight training and lifting and things like that did I actually see a huge improvement in my times.
Mm-hmm.
Because like that kind of strength training and stuff helped me become a better runner. And then I just kind of liked it. But right now I'm just trying to build some muscle, and I'm just
Are you talking lower body, core, like arms? Does that help with your running? Everything?
I think everything. I mean, my friend tells me all the time that weightlifting is the fountain of youth.
Is that a CrossFitter?
No.
Okay. No,
That's funny.
no, it's good though. We've talked about it before. I have the arms of a runner. You know, it's like nothing.
You have the arms of a
Arms
runner?
of a runner. Yeah.
Chicken wings.
Chicken wings. Yeah. So it's been an emphasis to try, and some of our listeners might remember I've tried to do the Murph a few times and that sort of thing.
I've always wanted to try that.
It's a pain, man. It sucks, but it's a great workout if you're into that kind of a workout.
I used to do CrossFitting.
Oh yeah,
I loved it. I still do. I just don't do it.
you just don't do it.
It's expensive.
Oh okay, yeah.
I go to the Y.
Could you do and I don't know if this is still on topic or not, but could you do your own CrossFit stuff at the Y? Is that
Somewhat.
like you could do some of the? It's because it's
They have like wall balls and things like that, and they don't have the. You can make your own.
sure.
The CrossFit place in Council Bluffs on Saturdays, I think they're 10 and noon are free.
Yep.
Yep.
Go
So
with
you
a
can go
member or
with-
something.
yeah.
Yep. Shout out to CrossFit.
Yeah. I only get the email, not that I've ever gone.
Yeah, exactly. So back to your weight training then, are you focused on, when you say you're focused on your whole body and just getting better, do you have a goal in mind? Is that something you do, or is it just let's do these reps, get better each time kind of deal?
Pretty much. Well, right now, because I'm in school
Sure.
and my husband's gone, so he's
Deployed. Yeah.
So-
We'll clarify real quick.
Deployed.
Yeah.
But so I don't get much time. So on the weekends, it's basically all body, and it's my friend and I are obsessed with like using bands.
Sure.
So we pretty much will
Really?
spend just a couple of hours at the gym, just doing anything and everything.
And,
Basically,
I'm sorry, go ahead. Dave.
No, that's cool.
How does that translate then into your running? Or how do you want it to translate, maybe, is a better question.
I don't know, make me stronger, help build my endurance.
Mhm.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I
Reduce that mid-run fatigue that we all
Yeah.
feel.
Yeah.
So I would guess if you're stronger, I mean, I think of it all the time that if I'm pretty confident my lower body's is about as strong as it is
Right.
because I've logged enough miles. It's just the rest of you that wears out, and I've dealt with that recently, knowing what it feels like to crash and burn. And I think that's part of it. Is you just, if you're not strong enough, you have to use everything.
I'm going to put you on the spot.
Okay.
Do you have any tips for, I want to say any runners for weightlifting and getting started? If there's somebody that they're thinking about getting to a gym, or even if, like myself, I do the stuff at home kind of
Right.
deal. How do I get started with weight training, and what things maybe could I focus on to get started?
Well, ask a friend
Sure.
is what I do.
Yeah.
I did a lot of I do research pretty much a lot on everything I do. But have a buddy with you, start small, and don't think that just because you do a lot of weight, you're going to have huge muscles like
Sure.
bodybuilders. Because that's what I hear a lot with women, that they think
Right.
they're going to.
All of a sudden
lift
look like a
weight.
guy.
Huh?
All of a
Yes.
sudden look like a guy.
I lift heavy, makes me feel strong.
Sure.
And it's that mentality too. Like, I can do this. I can go run for this amount of time, you know.
Do you, I didn't ask this before, I'm sorry for interrupting. Do you incorporate runs into your gym workouts or no?
I do.
Yeah.
Well, I always do cardio beforehand. I'm obsessed with this stair mill right now because I feel like it's getting best of both worlds.
Right.
Like, working my legs, and
Sure.
I like to, like, put it up high where it looks like I'm sprinting.
Right.
Right.
There you go. Yeah.
But or like in the summer, I'll go to Kern
Mm-hmm.
and
Do the hill there.
do the hills or
Oh.
do the stairs.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
the
I'll
stairs. Yeah.
do like lots of, not just running the stairs, but I'll do like squats up them and things like that.
Cool.
My question would be, where's your husband deployed? Top secret stuff,
Oh,
right?
secret stuff. We have a lot of vets on the show
Yeah.
and listeners and stuff like that. So maybe.
Guantanamo Bay.
Nice.
Oh.
Okay.
Jeez.
He's high ranking. Huh? I don't know. I don't know what that means.
Here,
Well.
I don't know what that means.
Sorry, I got. So last question from me. This is. random yelling here. Maybe back to the weightlifting thing. Do you need anything to get started when you start weightlifting for runners?
No, I don't think so. I mean, a lot of the stuff I do is, I mean, I do things with weights, but I do a lot of body weight stuff.
Sure.
I'm trying to get really good at push-ups.
Yeah.
So
Well, I mean, and Dave is our local science teacher. Upper body for women is different than men.
Yep.
Fact.
Yep.
Okay.
Right.
And so that's harder, obviously.
Right. And it's all everybody, upper body and building strength, everybody's different. Everything has to be tailored to what your body type is and your body style and what results you want.
Cool.
I say just start something that you're comfortable with, because no one's going to keep doing something if they're not comfortable with it.
Like this podcast.
Right.
No, I'm just kidding.
And go places that you know people. 'cause
Oh, yeah.
It's really intimidating. I think as a woman, it's intimidating to go into the weightlifting area with all
Right.
the men, like
Sure.
doing big weights and stuff. But I've gotten over it. Like,
Sure.
they don't care.
Right.
They're not watching you. If they are, then
Right.
probably shouldn't be. But
Then they're not doing what they should be at
Yeah.
the gym.
Right.
Yeah.
And you could go to the local Y. Is that where you said?
me too.
Well, we can get on a whole
Yes,
different topic
yeah.
on the local Y.
Yeah.
I got a whole thing for that.
Yeah.
Any last things or anything you want to make sure we hit on? Did you say you're not training yet for anything, right?
No, I do have a goal though.
Okay.
For next one, it'll probably be for the one in Council Bluffs. But if my daughter allows, I want to run a half with a stroller.
Oh, there you go.
Sweet.
I love taking my kids for a run.
Yeah.
And I say I have 2 kids. My almost 5-year-old likes to run with me. So sometimes if I just want to get a run in, I don't take him with me.
Right.
Right.
My daughter just falls asleep, so it's nice. But I'm hoping to, it sounds silly, but it's something I've wanted to do because I
Right.
love running with them. And I tend to run a little bit faster
Faster.
when I run
That's
with
cool.
them.
I have.
I suppose it's still hard not to interrupt you, Rob.
I know. That's fine.
It's probably hard to find a run that allows strollers.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why I figured I'd just pick like the Council Bluffs one because I
Yeah.
feel like it's a little bit smaller.
Right.
I did one about a month and a half ago in Omaha, and they had strollers. It was a little small one,
Yeah.
but
Cool.
I didn't train for it. so I
My
probably
youngest
didn't.
is 6 months old now, and so he's to the point where he's almost sitting. And as soon as I can get him sitting, I'll feel comfortable to put him in the running stroller.
Yeah.
And I didn't do this with either of my other 2 kids just because we didn't have a running stroller at the time. And we found one at a garage sale for super cheap, and
What
it's like,
do you
oh,
have?
a running stroller?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh.
it works. It has the big wheels and it's a running stroller.
Right.
It's a 3-wheeler. But I'm looking forward to getting out there and doing it because now my oldest, she's ready to ride her bike with me
Oh, that'd
on
be
the
great,
runs.
yeah.
And so we've done that a couple times where she'll ride and I'll run. So now I got the middle child who's like not quite ready to ride the bike for 3 miles, but I can't really do anything with her because I don't want to push her in the
So
stroller.
my suggestion
Backpack?
is that you hook the stroller to the bike
Okay.
and you make your daughter pull
Yeah,
your
there you go.
son, and then the other one
Middle
you put in
child
the
gets-
backpack and carry him.
There you go.
Her.
Her. Yep. There you go. It'll be. I'm interested in trying it.
You don't want to
This
run with both of them?
I
Get a double?
I don't want to get anything new. I think that's the thing because my wife and I we're done with kids, but you never know. But I don't want to buy anything new.
I get you.
But
You can borrow my double.
oh, there we go.
It's
Maybe.
amazing.
And then I have the 4-year-old that'll take care of the baby if something happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
So cool.
Awesome.
Sorry, I got sidetracked yet again. So Elizabeth, thank you for coming with us.
Absolutely.
We do want to ask you the one thing that you've seen on a run that was either really weird or funny or terrifying, something that's super memorable on one of your runs. What do you
Oh my
have?
gosh.
I know.
Put me on the spot.
I love putting people on the spot.
I have no idea. I can never think of it.
Like a shoe. No, I don't know.
A shoe. On a run?
Yeah, anything you've seen on a run.
Like, see, I saw T-Rex at the Chicago Marathon.
Did you? The
Yep.
big.
Blow inflatable
Did
guy
it-
with a T-Rex
Did he
costume.
do the marathon in it?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yep. He finished right at like 6 hours.
Didn't people do that at the Market to Market once?
The costumes
Last
at Mark to
year?
Market are
Yeah, always
amazing.
great. And then also at Chicago, there was Hulk Hogan and Macho Man.
Oh yeah,
They ran,
nice.
and it was awesome. Everybody had to get their pictures taken with those two guys. They're huge.
Side note, while you're thinking,
Yeah.
I went to a costume party as Ultimate Warrior one time.
Yeah, I
except
remember that.
I have the arms of a runner, so
Right.
I did not fill it out very well.
Yep,
It was
I
very fun.
remember that. You had the shoelaces.
I had the
that you were
shoelaces
trying to
tied
give away.
around. Yep. Yeah, that's right. Somebody got those. All right. Sorry. All right.
No, you're fine.
We're trying to
keep
stall for
going.
you.
I don't know. I guess I'd seen a man in, what are those, Speedos?
Oh yeah.
Running.
The thong speedo,
No,
or okay,
just
that's
like a
good.
man
Oof.
Speedo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Like yeah.
I don't understand that. But
I wouldn't want to either. Understand it or wear it.
Okay.
Rob's
Bear with
visualizing
me.
this.
No. Bear with me though. A lot of guys wear the running shorts that
Yeah.
are typically not as long as normal shorts anyway. Some guys take off their shirts while they're doing that. What would be the difference?
a little more material.
Yeah, okay.
And looser
I mean,
fitting.
I would never do
Looser
it. Yeah,
fitting.
I wouldn't do
Yeah.
it. So, okay. Anyway, that's a good spot to stop. Elyzabeth, thank you for coming on with us today.
Thanks for having me.
And we look forward to hearing more about your weightlifting and possibly your next race.
Yep.
Great.
Cool. Thank you. Thanks to Elyzabeth for being on the podcast. And remember, if you'd like to be a sponsor of this podcast, you can get a hold of me at RunIowa on Twitter or robruniowa@gmail.com or through our website, runiowa.org, to advertise with us with your running gear, products, promotions, whatever you would like to get across to our audience of runners. Imagine that. We do talk a lot too, Dave. We're not just Iowa.
Right.
And I think most of our people that listen to us, more often than just once or twice,
Right.
understand that we do kind of cover the Midwest kind of things.
Yep.
A lot of Nebraska, just because we're on the west side, so
Right.
Omaha is easy for us. A lot of friends over on the east side with Dubuque and Davenport and
Yep.
those areas as well. But you know what I'd like to see?
What would you like to see, Rob?
Some more north or southers.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is true.
Now, we did mention in the last segment before our interview with Elyzabeth about Kansas City and
Yep.
things like that. But we got to figure out some Minnesota type stuff.
No doubt.
So for any of you out there that are in these other local areas, you want to be a guest on the podcast, want to promote something like a race or something like that, again,
Yeah.
get a hold of me, get a hold of Dave.
Right.
And we'd be happy to
about it.
talk to you.
Yeah.
So I did just get, we're going to get Angie back on the podcast, or 100 miles in November. She's done this before with us.
Yep.
She was way back like in the early 10s
Right.
or something, maybe even before that with our podcast when we got started. And she's doing the 100 miles in November again for all you runners. And she has a blog and she'll give out some prizes and things like that. So we'll talk to her real soon in our next podcast, actually, just
Yeah.
so you know. So that'll help a lot of different runners as well.
Awesome.
Cool. It's time now for our run of the week and tip of the week. And Dave, I'll let you go ahead and get started with our run of the week or
Our run
runs.
of the week. Well, runs of the week.
Yeah.
All right.
That's a crappy joke.
Yep.
Yeah.
Iowa runs of the week. So we were going through, it's getting to the time
Sponsored
holiday.
by toilet paper.
Yes.
Sorry.
It's getting to that time of the year when we have holiday runs, and instead of picking one, we've talked about many, whether it's a Halloween, Thanksgiving, or Christmas run. So out there in your area, the challenge is to go out and find a fall run, whether it's a monster dash or something that's for Halloween, a turkey trot for Thanksgiving, an ugly Santa sweater for Christmas, or a New Year's run. Go and find a local run. They all support some great charity, help people out. And
Do your research and
Yeah.
figure out. Yeah.
Yeah, and have some fun. Go out
Yeah.
there and, a great challenge would be for all of you is to do a Halloween 5K, a Thanksgiving 5K, a Christmas 5K, and a New Year 5K, and go out and hit all the holidays, spread the wealth, do some good for the charities that are around in your area, and have a little fun running.
And maybe even volunteer if you don't want to run it.
Absolutely.
'Cause
Get
I know-
involved with those things.
Yeah, I know a lot of the turkey trots. There are a bunch of those that happen, and obviously they happen at the same time.
Right.
And so if you're able to maybe volunteer, but you can't do
Yeah,
that.
no
so
doubt.
get
Go out
there.
in there and do something fun. There's a ton of runs. Almost every part of the state in Iowa, Nebraska has some type of holiday run, whether it's a Christmas one, Thanksgiving, Halloween, New Year's.
Cool.
So go out there and
Hanukkah.
and do
Kwanzaa.
do some stuff.
Cool. Awesome. That's a good race.
Yeah,
All of them.
The runs.
I have our tip of the week. So here is our Run Iowa tip of the week, and this one is from active.com. You can find it on their website or at our website, runiowa.org. I will post the link there. But this is 4 reasons to run this fall. I'm going to tell you a quick story before I give you these tips. I'm a teacher, Dave.
Yes, you are.
And today, the day we're recording, I actually have to go supervise somebody's PE. They have to go run a mile. I said you can do it 2 ways, according to the PE teacher. You can either do the mile on the elliptical or the mile on the track. Today is a beautiful fall day. I said, hey, let's go out to the track. I'll just observe you out there. It's beautiful out. The student says, oh, it's too cold. Now, I disagree with that because I'm a cold weather runner. Right. So these tips are more for me and not for said student.
Right.
All right. So 4 reasons to run this fall. Number 1, the ideal temperature. It's cooler. It's nicer. The sun's not killing you. You might have some breeze, but you're not going to get dehydrated as quickly.
Right.
You can dress in layers.
Humidity.
Yep. Dress in layers and take off those clothes.
Yeah, take off. We like to see runners go out there and take off their clothes.
That came out the wrong way, but you know what I meant. So the ideal temperatures, I love the 50s for running.
Right.
That's ideal. I shorts and a t-shirt for that is beautiful. The foliage, if you're lucky enough to be around somewhere that has a lot of trees, go run in the country.
Beautiful out.
Right now, the leaves, we're in that peak, Iowa's in that peak time for foliage, foliage change of color. And so go out there and check that out. If you live in Maine, it might be even better. I hear.
Right, no doubt. It'd be worth taking a trip.
Number 3 actually ties directly back into our race of the week. It's fun runs. Go out and do some of these holiday runs.
Right.
There are tons of them, and like Dave said, everywhere.
Yes.
They are everywhere. Every town now, it seems, has some sort of fun run or something that happens.
We had one in our neighborhood. I don't even know what it was. I was
really?
driving. I got in my truck, and I had to go do something Sunday, and I looked out, and there was just this pack of people running right through it, and I'm like, oh, God, I didn't know. It didn't have any signage or anything out, so they were all over the place.
Now, this one's a guilty pleasure. The 4th tip for running in the fall is food treats. It's that comfort food, that time of the year when you start seeing the different treats and things like that. And a lot of times you might actually see these at races as well. Right. And so you can go get those treats. So those 4 tips, I'll post them on our website, runiowa.org. You can find them at active.com as well for running in the fall. Cool. We'll take our last break. We'll come back right after this, wrap things up on the Run Iowa podcast. All right, Dave, any last thoughts?
No, I hope everybody has a good fall and a safe fall and is out there running and find something fun to do.
Nice.
It'll be enjoyable. It's the best time of the year to run.
Absolutely. I love this time of the year. I plan on doing the podcast every 2 weeks for at least the foreseeable future. So if you are used to us doing a weekly show, we're going to keep going every other week, at least for a while, and we'll see. Maybe we can get back into the weekly thing.
Sounds great.
Cool. This has been episode 105 of our podcast. Awesome. Oh, my gosh. Thanks for listening with us.
And happy trails.
Happy trails.